Say what you want about Matthew Vaughn's new film Argylle, but the man is out there crushing it with some pretty unique action scenes. Argylle. So yeah, like I said, Matthew Vaughn is back with a new film. I've been seeing a lot of negativity surrounding this one. And I generally try to stay away from reviews before watching a film, but I caught a couple and I don't know, maybe it just lowered my expectations a little bit and it shouldn't have done, but I went in and saw this and I had a hella good time. A reclusive author who writes espionage novels about a secret agent and a global spy syndicate realizes the plot of the new book she's writing starts to mirror real world events in real time. She's essentially kidnapped by a spy who tasks her with assisting in stopping this syndicate. Yeah, maybe it feels a bit too nonsense for what the story is trying to go for, but I mean, and this doesn't apply to every film, mind you, but just because the story is a bit insane doesn't mean it's not a lot of fun. Dumb, but fun, if you want a catchy phrase, I guess. Not sure if the YouTube algorithm would appreciate that though. But Matthew Vaughn, who's done a lot of great things by the way, I mean the guy did Stardust, I love that film, but what's probably more important for Argylle is that Matthew Vaughn also directed the Kingsman movies, and I think that's what Argylle is most similar to. In terms of tone at least, it's a comic book level of silly story, but in turn provides us with some crazy comic book level of action. Like that Kingsman church scene, there's some very unique stuff in here too, partnered with a Leona Lewis song. I just never would have had that on my bingo card. It was stunning. Being a spy action comedy, there's a lot of twists and I'll keep this pretty spoiler free, but I had a really fun ride with this through and through. Like the Kingsman, it's colourful, imaginative, scenes and characters are well dressed, and you've got some strange ways of transitioning from one scene to another. Mind you, Argylle had probably like 7 too many closed eyes transitions where you're in first person and it looks like the eyelids are closing to then open up into a new scene. It just felt there was like 20 of them overall. And it's not just the action that sold this to me. From the trailer, you've probably already seen that it's just a crazy star-studded cast, and it doesn't really bloat the film all that much. Bryce is our main heroine, and what at first felt like a cartoonish character on her part ended up turning out to be really interesting without giving too much away. I would love to see how much of the second half of the film she was doing herself, but she looked great and what she was doing was awesome. She's then partnered up with Sam Rockwell, who, god, this man's just a national treasure, honestly. Watching him be this funny, worn out, crude spy just made the film worth watching alone. He's a lot of fun in here. Watching him and Bryce Howard's character bounce off each other was great. So that core is great, and then you chuck in a bit of Henry Cavill being this great deadpan spy, Bryan Cranston being cartoonishly evil, John Cena being, well, John Cena, and a bit of Samuel L. Jackson too. It's a great time. Lipa is heavily marketed in this film, and I think that's putting a lot of people off, but honestly, she's barely in it enough to make the film better nor worse. It felt like they're just heavily marketing the first third of the film only because they don't want to spoil what happens for the rest of it. And then the final cherry, which I've already talked about, but it's the music that was also great too. So besides what I've just said, there's this disparity between critic scores and a lot of audience receptions. Though I think this site is incredibly unuseful, Rotten Tomato does kind of show this in a way. And so I'm trying to look into perhaps why that is, and I could probably find a few reasons. Big one is some of the CG elements, namely the cat. While sometimes real, you can obviously see why they couldn't use a real cat in some of the bits for this. And the varying quality in the computer generated graphics, fuck that was a bad pun, can sometimes take you out of the film. Story-wise as well, there's a handful of Deus Ex Machinas where people are saved and problems are solved by sheer luck or sudden random arrivals. There's a few big twists in here which, if you're not on board with, it will make you struggle to enjoy the second half of the film. But if you know any of Matthew Vaughn's films, you'll know those sudden turns that he'll like to take his story down. It's like being mad that a musical is playing music. I will say that Argylle is over 2 hours, and that there's a bit of a fourth act syndrome where you felt the movie should have been over by now, and then there's just a whole nother bit on top. So it could be shorter. I don't know, maybe I'm just the weird one for enjoying this. And so if it's not obvious by now, I recommend this. I think it's easy, light-hearted action comedy, which you can easily entertain for one evening in February. I think it's just one to go out and see. I guess if you don't like Kingsman, you won't like this, but if you like those sort of films, this strikes the same chord. Just doesn't take itself too seriously, unlike another movie I know. Also, post-credits are wild. Curious what's to come of that. But yeah, that's me done. Let me know if you're gonna go watch Argylle. It came out last weekend, so if you've already seen it, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. If you liked this video, feel free to like and subscribe and all that. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews on movies, anime and video games. Until next time guys, take care. Bye bye.